My name is Jonah Brucker-Cohen, and I am currently living in New York, and I am finishing up a PhD that I started a few years ago. And basically, I started getting into electronic art probably around the time it started at a very young age, but it went into more rapid production of projects probably around 99, something like that. But I've always been interested in computers from when I was really young, and I started programming when I was, I think, in about 7 years old or something like that on old Apple computers, doing logo and stuff. So then I kind of got over time, working with computers, getting into more like graphic design for the internet. And then when I went to graduate school, there was a focus on physical computing, so building computer interfaces that interact with the real world, physical world. And basically, from then on, I started being really interested in how you can connect those interfaces to the internet and make networked projects that examine kind of interaction. So, yeah, there's sort of been a lot of projects that examine the kind of connection over the internet of physical spaces to each other, and that's sort of the history of, I guess that would be called type telematics. Yeah, so kind of like communication over distance using the internet as a mediator between two people. Yeah, you can come closer because there's no reason why. Um, because I guess I should talk loud in there, but yeah, so it's a like telepresence is another word for it. So it's sort of putting. No, 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 no. This is just a theme of projects that look at how you can connect people using the internet to different objects, devices, other people, and how you can kind of get a presence of yourself in another location using something sort of, using technology or the networks in that way. So my work itself kind of examines how you can add the presence of an online visitor to a physical space, or the other way around, how you could transmit physical information over the network to somehow interrupt or challenge the online space. So it's sort of, it's related back and forth, but yeah, it's a communication thing, but it's also kind of making it a little bit more apparent to people that these two spaces can exist at the same time in the same sort of location. So I think the project that they're mentioning in that is the Crank. It's called Crank the Web, and that's a browser that I built that allows you to type in a website, and instead of waiting for your data to download with your speed of your network, you actually have to get there yourself using the crank as a way of cranking the download, sort of like an old-fashioned way. And so it relates to that because it's looking at how you know things are increasingly becoming much more automated, as you can tell. Like things are, used to have to pay all of your bills with writing checks, and now everything's sort of automated. They can withdraw from your bank accounts, and also like when you're creating something, usually now there's presets that you can set up that will create automatically for you. You don't have to do as much work, so it's lessening the amount of work. And I think that there's a disconnect there between sort of the human side, the machine side, and are we actually giving up too much control to the machine side and not taking enough, control back to us? Because ultimately we probably need this control to feel more like, we either understand the situation or we can, set it up to the way we want. So I don't know. So the projects that I've been working on, I would say they add a human side to technology. They really kind of allow people to become involved in a way that they didn't normally otherwise, and they can then feel like they're connected to the systems. Not really. I think it's more of just maybe the subversive angle could be that I'm trying to add a physical component to something really simple like visiting a website. So it sort of takes away the idea of destruction a little bit differently because when you're visiting a physical space, just stepping into the space, you're moving around things on the floor, you're, smudging the walls when you touch them, you're changing little things, and over time, if you have thousands of people coming through a space, it's going to slowly deteriorate, right? But a website is so different because if you have millions of people visiting it, you're never gonna see any deterioration. You're never gonna see any kind of physical connection. So I wanted to make it more of a bridge between the web space and the physical space by allowing people to actually make a difference and change to that either spaces using through that action, because it's really kind of an invisible thing. So I guess maybe the subversive part would be that it's sort of switching this relationship between visiting a website, going to a physical space, or anything else. That's actually perfect. Good timing. We didn't plan that. So as you can see, a few people now have visited the site during this interview, and that's a good example of how the work really fits this show too, because it's matches. I guess my main interest would be in subversion again, like sort of how artists subvert existing methods of either communication or networking or other types of relationships that they sort of turn around and make completely different. So some of my favorite projects deal with things like copyright. Sometimes there's some really interesting projects that examine how you know things might be deemed illegal, but you can still do them in the context of art, and other things that subvert sort of the accepted notions of how objects can move or objects should behave, and just changing that really differently. So I don't know if you want me to give examples, but yeah, it's really just about, it fits into my work too. It's really just about how you can change relationships that people experience every day into new meanings, basically completely new situations and stuff. So, thank you. Yeah.